Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Wade, and this is the first video that I've done in almost 2 years, and I figured it would be a good time to do an update video on my Porsche 996. I've had this car since July 2015, and the anniversary is coming up, so I figured, no better time to make a video than right now. So I have the car in a parking lot, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to probably break this video up into two. I'm going to talk about the financial stuff, everything that I've put into the car, anything that's happened, the maintenance, and then I'll go over the car from bumper to bumper and kind of show you guys what the car is like on the inside and outside and what the condition is like. So here, I'll give you guys a look. So here she is. Got Universal Studios in the background. For those of you that don't live here in Southern California, the paint, I should say, is beaming here in the Southern California sun. It is looking really shiny. And like I said before, I'll go over how I've kept the paint and the interior in such good condition. So this is a 2003 Porsche 996, naturally aspirated flat 6 engine, or I should say with the naturally aspirated flat 6 engine. I've owned this car since July, I think 21st, 2015. And there's a better shot of the paint. You can kind of see. Yeah, there you go. So when I first bought this car, I thought I was going to own it for 2 years max, but I fell in love. I fell in love with the way it drives, and just everything about owning it. Like, it's been such a fun car to own. And the original plan was to sell it after a few years and move up to a 997, which is the next generation of Porsche after this. But I can't let this car go. I never get sentimental about cars, but this one I am. And even if I do buy another 911, I probably will still keep this. Okay, so let's start off with the trunk. So this is my daily driver. I just recently sold my second car. I had a 2014 Audi A4, and I sold it and want to make this my daily driver for a while, until I find something else. So I will be having to put more groceries in here. I go to Costco a lot. But surprisingly, even when the trunk is filled with, detailing stuff and rags and stuff, I keep a lot of stuff in here to help me keep the car clean on a regular basis. I can still fit a lot of stuff. A lot of groceries can fit in here. Here you have the spare tire, and it's a lot of space. There's an emergency release down here, and I'm actually looking forward to using this more as my daily driver. One of the things that has made, in the earlier years, made the Porsche 996 less attractive to a lot of people are the headlights. I actually like the headlights. They didn't bother me when I bought the car. I wouldn't have bought the car if I didn't like the headlights. But it's different. It doesn't have the classic frog lights that the air-cooled generations have. And then actually after this generation, the 997 and beyond went back to the classic headlights. I think because Porsche got a lot of pushback from a lot of customers complaining about the headlights and so on. So here you have the washer nozzle. It pops up, and I found out the hard way that you don't want to have these go off at a higher speed, because then this, when it pops up, it flies off. The design is actually really doesn't really make any sense. Like, you know, you can see how there would be a lot of wind resistance once it pops up and then it just flies off. I've done a lot of work to keep these headlights clear. For a while they kept fogging up and I would have to redo them. I redid them myself. I took it to somebody to have them redone a few different times over the years. And finally, because I keep the car inside, it's keeping up now. When I first bought this car, it wasn't in a garage, so it was harder to, I had to keep up with the polishing and the wiping down and detail spray and all that. And one of the things was that the headlights kept getting fogged up by the sun. The sun oxidizes the plastic in the headlights and then causes them to fog up, and then it's a big problem. So up here we have that is the brake fluid, and then over here we have the washer fluid. And if we come around to this side, this is where the gas cap is. Open that up. And fun fact for those of you that already own these cars, I don't know if you know this or not, but if you open up the gas cap, there's a little hook right here. You can hook it, and then the gas cap just hangs there. And I guess that's so that the gas cap doesn't hit this part of the car and scuff up the car. So let's go down to the wheels. These are 17-inch stock wheels from the manufacturer, and I have thought about upgrading to bigger wheels, but I really like these. I don't want to get rid of these, and I think it's really cool that these are the original manufacturer wheels. And I even thought about putting in different brake calipers, like, you know, a different color to kind of accent the car, but I like these. I don't want to change anything on the car. And you know, I just like keep up with wiping the wheels down, and at some point they'll probably need to be redone, but for the most part, you know, I've kept them up pretty well. One thing that I might want to do is have the wheels removed and then clean the interior of the wheels, because there's a lot of brake dust in there. But yeah, no big deal. So when it comes to the paint of the car, you can see that the paint is pretty scratch free. There's some swirl marks in the car, and that's why it's actually kind of good to do this in the middle of the day where the sun is high and you can kind of see all the blemishes that are in the paint. I have resprayed a few panels, and I'll go into that in a bit, but overall I've tried to keep on top of the paint and making sure that the car is clean. When I first bought this car, I used to park it outside, and you know, the weather was taking its toll on the car, and then finally I was able to use a garage space and keep the car there, and then that has helped to kind of preserve the car a little bit more. So you probably can't tell, but this panel right here has been resprayed, and it goes all the way up to here and all the way to the front, and that is because I let an unscrupulous auto detailer touch my car. I should have vetted him. It was somebody that talked a good game but didn't know what he was doing, and then he ended up messing up the paint on the car. So it was beyond repair. I went back and forth with him. Right, I tried to take legal action, and it turns out that his business isn't even legitimate. So I had to pay out of pocket to have the car resprayed, and I think they did a good job. It blends in nicely. You can't tell at all. But yeah, that was something that happened a few years ago, and that got me very upset. So let's go over the interior of the car. So leather seats, leather dashboard, suede roof. Car is pretty much wrapped in leather on the interior. I know that these 996s don't have as much leather in them as the older generation of 911s, so like the 80s and 90s. Definitely have less plastic. Like here, this part's plastic, and then leather, and then leather right here. But it is a little plasticky compared to older generations, but there's still a lot of leather, and it's very comfortable. So the car has 73,432 miles on it, and I bought it, I'll go over this in the paperwork, but I bought it at around 45,000 miles. I'll get the exact number in a bit, but you know, the dashboard is in good shape. So you've got Bose speakers up here, and then we've got Bose in the door as well. And then over here we have the hazard lights, or hazard button for the hazard lights. And everything is stock. And because this is my daily driver, I am thinking about getting an aftermarket radio. I know that a lot of 996 drivers get the aftermarket Porsche navigation system put in their cars. So that's an option. I think that runs about $1,200 with installation. The car has Bluetooth. This was put in before my time. The previous owner put in a Parrot Bluetooth. And then the bad thing about this Bluetooth is that it's kind of in the way of the glove box, so I have to kind of tilt this and then open up the glove box. And in here, it's a pretty sizable glove box. I know the early generations of the Porsche 996s didn't even have a glove box. And I'm not sure if they had cup holders, but this generation definitely has big cup holders. And I never understood why, not even just this car, but never understood why a cup holder would be above the electronics. I had an older car where the cup holder was right here, and then every time the cup would sweat, it would sweat onto the electronics, sweat down here, it would get into the, the gear shifter. So it never made any sense. I always thought cars that had cup holders in the middle were smart, or had them away from everything else. And then right here is the locking mechanism, so this locks the doors. This is for the rear defrost. These buttons don't do anything. There's actually buttons over here that don't do anything as well. I think different packages have buttons here, so if this was like a cold weather package or another trim level, then I think these might have buttons. This is for the wipers. I think this is for the wiper speeds. If I'm wrong, correct me. Then we have the Porsche 3-spoke steering wheel. And then over here, and this is one of the things that is famous with the 911s, for all generations of 911s, and that is the key ignition on the left side instead of the right side, where most cars usually have their ignition switch. This is for the lights. And then down here is the electric seats. So we've got the tilt, and then this goes up or down, back, and then forward. And then here's the presets for the seats. So you've got, like, if there's two drivers for the car, you've got driver 1 and driver 2 positions, and then I think that locks it, and that's for manual. This button right here is for the trunk, the front trunk or frunk, and then this one is for the engine bay. So if you pull these up, this opens up the trunk, and then this, when you pull this up, opens up the engine bay. Got Carrera written right there. Very classic. I like that. And then over here you have wiper controls as well, and then this is for the headlight washers. If you pull this stock towards you, that engages the headlight washers, and they pop up and then squirt fluid all over the headlights. Over here, let's see, focus. There you go. Over here is the control center for the onboard computer. So Then right here you have the mileage. You can reset the mileage right there. And then this right here is for the clock. So you can push this in and then adjust the clock on the bottom and, you know, set that. And then over here we have the miles per hour that is both digital and analog. That green button or green light is for the cruise control, and it lets you know when it's engaged. So when it's green, that means the cruise control is on, and when it's off, then it's off. Over here you got the gas gauge. It's got the temperature gauge. The temperature for these cars should stay at about 180 degrees. If it's too low, too much on the low end, especially after driving for a while, or if it's too high, then, or too much higher than 180 degrees, then you should definitely have the car looked at. Over here is the oil pressure gauge, and where that should sit is, while the car is idling, it should go no lower than 1.5. So it should be no lower than halfway between the 1 and the 2, and then it usually will hover at about 5 when the car is first started, and then it drops down, you know, in somewhere in this range. You definitely don't want the engine oil pressure too low. And then you've got the clock there, PM, there's a dot in the bottom, AM, dot in the top. And then with these cars, it's pretty common, well, it is common for these cars to have the tachometer, which shows the revs, in the middle of, but you've got the genuine Porsche floor mats, and I just vacuum them up. And this car is a 6-speed manual transmission, so you've got reverse to the left, and then the different gears all the way up to 6. In order to get to reverse, you have to push the gear shifter in, so it's in neutral right now, push it down, and then up to the left. And I think that this is a German car thing. It's definitely a European car thing, where the reverse is over here. I know a lot of VWs are like that. Saabs, the old manual Saabs, I think, were up right next to the first gear. And just different European cars that I've come across. I haven't really seen that with any Japanese or American cars. Then you have leather seats. Like I said, I try and do a good job of taking care of these seats. You know, I'll spray them off and condition them every once in a while. I used to do that a lot more when I was parking the car outside. Then over here, there's a little compartment. I keep coins in there. There's actually, this is the visor mirror, and then I keep quarters in there. Over here, the visor broke off, and that's what was in that compartment. And usually you'd open up the visor and the lights would turn on, but I guess it's actually a pretty common thing for both visors to break off, which they did. So, and then up here we have a sunroof. It doesn't have a moonroof, but has a full sunroof that opens up. This is suede, which is really cool. I really like the suede roof. It gives it kind of a cool look. It's very different. Got my garage door opener, and then up here you have the different lights. These are you know, just the various dome lights. Got the sunroof control, and the 911 is known for not having very big back seats. There is a seat back there, or 2 seats, but nobody, like, you can fit like maybe a small kid back there, and you know, store stuff back there, but a normal sized person really isn't going to fit back there. They'd have to, and if they did, then it'd be very uncomfortable. And in the center console, that's where I keep the cords, masks, sanitizer. In order to open that, you have to press this down. These buttons do nothing. This is the ashtray. Of course, I don't smoke, so I fill everything up with coins. A lot of coins in this car. And then back here is another Bose speaker, or set of speakers, here and then on the other side. This actually folds down, this back part of the seat. So let me try and get that down for you. And it just makes for some extra storage room. Can store stuff in the back there and then have it kind of hang over the seat right here. So I know that a lot of cold weather packaged cars, I think it's the C4S and the C4, they have heated seats, and the heated seat controls are down here. But you know, this car doesn't have that. So as a matter of fact, I'll show you how to put this spoiler up while the car is stopped. And in here, right there, there's a switch for the spoiler. So if you push that while the car is on, the spoiler goes up. I'll show you right now. There's a spoiler while it's up. The car does have to be started for me to put it up. You can see there's an extra light bar right there. Gosh, it's been so long since I've seen this thing up. Like while walking around the back, like. Usually I'm driving when it's coming up. Alright guys, so I'm going to end the video here. This video is going on too long, but I'm going to make a part 2 where I finish up, and then I'm going to talk about the financial stuff. I'm going to talk about cost of ownership, and then anything that I've done to the car. You know, I took it to the track last year, and what my experience was like. And you know, if you guys have any questions, leave them in the comment section. I'm going to try my best to grow this channel for the rest of the year and beyond, but I want to spend the rest of the year trying to grow it as much as possible. So share these videos and like and comment and subscribe. Help me out. Alright guys, be safe. I'll catch you in the next one.